If you're a real estate agent and trying to figure out how to create really good content on your website, I'm going to share 5 tips you can use to create better content that drives traffic and leads so you can close more deals. By the way, my name is Jacob. On this channel, I talk about how to do real estate SEO and YouTube marketing so you can close more deals from organic traffic. Let's get to it. Number 1, whenever you're creating content, whether it's on your website or YouTube channel, what have you, start with figuring out what kind of information people are actually looking for. Don't write about what you feel like talking about. Write about what your clients actually want to learn about. Now, when I work on a real estate website, my goal is to compete on information, not listings. So everything I'm talking about in this video relates to creating well-researched and well-written content to drive leads. That's just my approach, but you're welcome to do whatever you want. A really good way to start with this is ask all of your past clients and your current clients what kind of information they're looking for online, whether it's about buying, selling, investing, building. Just get a sense of what they're actually looking for. And this is even better if you're already getting clients from some type of organic marketing, whether it's from your website, your YouTube channel, your social media. Ask people how they found you, what kind of information they were looking for online, and what kind of information they were trying to find that they couldn't. Because that's an opportunity for you. If there's something all of your sellers want to read about and they can't find that online, that's where you want to start. Maybe it's information about a specific neighborhood, something to do with the city like regulation or taxes, or maybe information about the actual process of working with an agent to list or buy a house. Another way you can do this is go on Google and search for something you're considering writing about. And look at the people also asked section, because that right there will show you the questions people are searching online that you could potentially make content around. There's also a really great tool that does this. It's called Also Asked. And I would recommend going in there and searching for something related to real estate in your city or whatever market that you serve. Another way is if you go on a site like Reddit or Quora or use the Nextdoor app, start searching in the neighborhoods you do business in and see what people are asking about the area, maybe a specific neighborhood. If there's something really good or really bad about an area that people do or don't like, use that to fuel the content you create about a specific area. You really just want to pay attention to the types of questions people are asking online, because those are all the ideas you can start with when it comes to writing content for your site. All of those questions can be potential topics you want to cover in an article, whether it's about a specific neighborhood, a new development, or something else real estate related in your market. And when you write content, I highly recommend using a tool like Rankability to make sure you're capturing all the necessary keywords that pertain to that topic. Use those keywords to create your outline and then write your article to make sure that you are creating relevant content that can compete with all of the existing pages on Google that are ranking for that search term. One way I like to test if content is detailed enough or not is, let's say we're doing an article on, a seller's guide in a specific part of town. If you could take the name of that town or neighborhood and swap it out for any other neighborhood in your market and it would still make sense, you're not being specific enough. You want to talk about all of those tiny little details that apply to one part of town that are unique to just that town, not other areas around it. And sometimes it's hard, don't get me wrong. It can be tough to uncover all of those nitty-gritty details. But trust me, they're there, and you want to find as many of those to talk about as you can. Number 2, when you are writing a seller guide or a neighborhood guide of some sort, write for humans, not search engines. Your content should be engaging, it should be easy to read, and it should be enjoyable. Someone should feel good after reading a page on your website because they learned something, they know more now than they did before, and it helped them and gave them value. So don't put a bunch of AI written content on your site that sounds generic and robotic. You want to make it connect with whoever's reading it. So here's a few copywriting tips that can help you do that. First, write to the average reader. Aim for a high school reading level. Don't make it overly academic and formal. The way you write on the internet is not the same way you would write in a college level literature class. And when you write, don't talk down to your reader like you're a know-it-all real estate guru. Instead, Write like you're just talking to one of your friends and you happen to know a lot about real estate. Second copywriting tip is write like you're speaking directly to the reader. I like to have a very conversational tone in my writing, and I use the words you and your a lot because this speaks directly to the reader. So here's one example of an article that I wrote on selling a condo in downtown St. Louis. I used the word you or your 93 times in this article. So I'll say things like, hey, if you're selling your condo, here are some things to pay attention to. Make sure you have a copy of your unit floor plan so buyers can look at it. Know if your building is FHA approved. Make sure you know about any upcoming assessments in your building. Third copywriting tip is use short paragraphs. I'm talking 1 to 3 sentences max. And also switch it up. So if you have several 3-sentence paragraphs in a row, break it up. Add a couple of one-liners or some very short sentences in those paragraphs. Add some images or some charts to break it up so it's not just one wall of text. Last copywriting tip is don't follow all the rules of traditional English grammar. You can start sentences with and or but. You can use slang and colloquialisms. You almost have to unlearn all of the rules you were taught about writing in high school and college. Now, number 3, when you're writing, write to build rapport. When someone searches online and they stumble across a page on your website, they probably have no idea who you are. So you want to show them why they can trust you and why they should work with you in your writing. You want to deliver the information someone wants, even if it means giving away all your secrets and your best tips. So I might say something like, hey, in this building, every unit that ends in the same number has the same floor plan. So if you're thinking about selling and your unit 403, go on Zillow and see if you can find unit 503 or unit 303, see what they sold for, and that might give you a really good idea of what your condo could be worth. And when you're writing to build rapport, you want to write in a way that shows you have experience, expertise, authority, and trust. I think it is so important to talk about your own experience, give insider tips, talk about observations or trends you notice working with clients if you think it would be helpful for someone reading about it online. It might be something like, we've sold a bunch of homes in this neighborhood that all had foundation issues, so if you're thinking about selling, you might want to consider a pre-listing inspection. And talk about your opinions. For example, one of our favorite features of this building is the rooftop pool that actually stays open during the winter because it's heated. I'm a very big fan of the royal we because when I work with real estate teams, we try to make content that's not about one specific person, it's sharing the team's expertise. Make it personal. Inject some of your own personal experience, your stories, your opinions in your content so that it resonates with the person reading it. And when it comes to building rapport, it's very important to have calls to action in your content because that's how you get leads. For example, if you're trying to figure out how much your home is worth so you can sell, fill out this form, we can get in touch, and we'd love to help you with that. Now, a call to action on your site doesn't just have to be a lead form. You can have calls to action like click here to download our pre-listing checklist if you're trying to get your house ready. Let's say you have an article about living in downtown St. Louis, and you talk about how important it is to consider the building amenities before offering on a specific condo. You can link to one of your other articles on your site and say, hey, by the way, if you're looking at different buildings, check out our article on the top buildings that we love for their amenities. Tip number 4, use visuals to enhance your content. Here's what I love about real estate content. It is very visual. You can't just explain everything using words. And there are so many ways you can get creative and spice up your content a little bit by giving people something they can look at. You can use drone pictures, charts, maps, infographics. I'm a very big fan of infographics. You can make your own on Canva, or you can hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork to help you make infographics for your content. Think about videos too. So if you have a YouTube video about whatever it is you're discussing in an article, embed that video so someone could watch it while they're reading your content. Number 5, treat your articles and the content on your site as an extension of your brand. You want them to be as helpful, informative, and thorough as possible. Your readers should always learn something from your content that they didn't know before. Even if they decide not to work with you, you still want to leave a good impression. So when you publish a new piece of content, think about this. would you be willing to send that to your friends and family, your colleagues, your past or current clients, and say, hey, I wrote this new article about this part of town. What do you think? If you wouldn't feel good about posting your article on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram for the world to see, it shouldn't be on your website. And if you sent one of your articles to one of your past clients and they read it and say, yeah, this is great, but who wrote it? It doesn't sound like you. You might want to rethink the article. Your content should sound like you. It should represent you, how you run your business, your level of detail and work ethic. And if you have content that's just overly generic, it has a lot of fluff to it and says a whole lot of nothing, that's not a good sign. Now, I know this video was 5 tips. I have one final tip. Keep the feedback loop going as you create content. So when you get new leads coming from your website, always ask them, how did they find you? What did they like about the content on your website? What were they searching for when they found you? And what information were they looking for that they couldn't really find? Because that's a way you can make your content better. As I make content, I am always trying to get feedback on it. Send it to your friends and family that live in that area. Send it to your past clients. If you have colleagues that do a lot of business in one part of town, but you're not super familiar with it, and you feel like they could actually give you good feedback, send them your content and ask for feedback and constructive criticism. I am always on the hunt for new ideas, those little bitty details of nuance and intricacy of a specific neighborhood or part of town, and some of those inside hacks that no one really talks about. It's just how things are done, because there is so much of that in real estate, and all of those little tips are an absolute gold mine when it comes to making content for your website or your YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for me, just let me know down below in the comment section. Aside from that, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.